So in 2016, both the state of Washington and Colorado punished their so-called faithless electors for doing what the Constitution said that they could do. So Brett Kavanaugh, oh my God, this guy, Brett Kavanaugh, is terrible. Yet once again, first he's going to defend sovereign immunity by state government. If you're a state government, you got sovereign immunity. And now he doesn't seem to understand the U.S. Constitution or the Electoral College at all. Him and Samuel Alito. So both Brett Kavanaugh, Samuel Alito, they don't understand the Electoral College. Therefore, they don't understand the U.S. Constitution. Brett Kavanaugh has cited the chaos principle. Something about, it's going to lead to chaos if we listen to the U.S. Constitution. Now, it may be chaos if we don't listen to the U.S. Constitution. So the general election is when all of America votes, but that's not when we decide the president. We decide the president 6 weeks later during the Electoral College. So the American people's vote does not matter. It's not a direct vote. It's an indirect vote. We vote for the electors. Typically, the electors vote for that which their state voted for. And sometimes it's winner-take-all, plurality. Somebody won 40% of a state, they get all the electors. So Samuel Alito, Mr. Citizens United, he says having faithless electors could lead to chaos. So these assholes pretend they're conservative, pretend they're originalist. That's Kavanaugh. Where did Kavanaugh's originalism go? Samuel Alito said focusing on faithless electors argument, that could affect the outcome. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Andrew Jackson was prevented from gaining the presidency because of the Electoral College. We've had the Electoral College the whole time. So they say, Samuel Alito says the rational response to the losing political party would be to launch a massive campaign to try to influence the electors. Of course. That's how our system works. Do you deny that that's a good possibility if your argument prevails? The council said that there's risk, but the Electoral College voters are free agents. That's what the U.S. Constitution says. Samuel Alito and Brett Kavanaugh, if they could, probably read Federalist number 68 or the Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2, and then also the 12th and 23rd Amendment. That's how the goddamn Electoral College works. But Brett Kavanaugh, Samuel Alito, they're not relying on the U.S. Constitution for their opinions. They're not relying on the text or originalism. They're just being political, stooges, just political hacks. Brett Kavanaugh's chaos principle, he defines it. He says that if the election is a close call or a tiebreaker, we shouldn't facilitate chaos. That's the whole point of the Electoral College. If there's a tie in the Electoral College, it goes to the House. Brett Kavanaugh doesn't seem to understand whatsoever how the American system or the U.S. Constitution, he pretends to be an originalist, like Scalia. He acts like he's, original, strict constructionist. The text says what it means, and then whatever the people wrote, whatever the original intention of the words were. But yet, Brett Kavanaugh is completely ignoring not only the text, not only the original thoughts of the U.S., but he's ignoring the U.S. Constitution itself. So what's this mean? Well, that's terrible. We got two Supreme Court justices that don't understand the U.S. Constitution. So let's take a look at Federalist 68. This is where Alexander Hamilton explains as Publius, and this is a Federalist paper, 68, why the Electoral College is so wonderful and perfect. So Alexander Hamilton, he says that he loves the indirect voting system that they designed for president, because he says there should be democracy. The sense of the people should operate in the choice, but the people don't need to be actually in the choice. He wanted electors to be intelligent men, to make sure that the choice for president was endowed with the requisite qualifications. So they had, it's a transient existence, Therefore, the Electoral College is only temporary in nature. It's not going to be corrupted by anybody because no senator, no congressman, no person who holds a place of trust or profit in the U.S. government can be an elector in the Electoral College. That means it's going to be just the common man, regular common folks, but the smart ones, the intelligent ones. Because when the people vote, That means the rabble could fuck up. Well, you need to have the electors make sure they don't fuck up. You got to refine the people's vote. If the people fuck up, then the Electoral College is there to correct that fuck up. Here I quote Alexander Hamilton, "Talents for low intrigue and little arts of popularity may alone suffice for somebody to win the presidency. But we need more to establish him in the esteem and confidence of the whole Union." So he's saying to make sure he's qualified, to make sure he's got the requisite qualifications, to make sure that this man can do the job. That's why we have the Electoral College. That's why we have an indirect election. That's why the Electoral College, this is Federalist 68, take a look at it. Brett Kavanaugh, and they need to understand what's the original intentions of the Electoral College? It's because they were suspicious of democracy. They were suspicious that the rabble, the people, might just jump on to some demagogue. And that's why you need the Electoral College, to make sure the demagogues are cut out. And you only have qualified people. So, we need to establish the man in the esteem and confidence of the entire Union. So Brett Kavanaugh and Samuel Alito, they don't understand the U.S. Constitution. It hasn't been amended. The Electoral College is still the law of the land, still the law of America. So let's take a look here. Kavanaugh, Alito, I'll read a little Constitution for you. So Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2. This is the powers of the presidency. The first article is all about the legislative powers. Second article is about the executive powers. And then the third article is the judicial powers. So the very first sentence, it's important, but it's not the Electoral College. Section 1, Clause 1 says that the executive power shall be vested in a President of the United States of America. That's Clause 1. Clause 2, Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2, he shall hold his office during the term of 4 years, and together with the Vice President, chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. Each state shall appoint in manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives to which the state may be entitled in the Congress, but no senator or representative or person holding an office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector. The Congress may determine the time of choosing the electors. Choosing. They spell choosing C-H-U-S-I-N-G. They don't even know how to spell choosing. The founding fathers, them goddamn founding fathers don't even know how to fucking spell. But anyways, no person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of President. Neither shall any person be eligible to that office who shall not have attained to the age of 35 years and been 14 years a resident within the United States. So Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2, it explains that each state legislature determines that how its state's electors for the Electoral College will be chosen. So the state legislatures, the state governments are choosing how these states' electors are chosen. The total number of electors are equal to the representatives plus the senators. We got 100 senators, 435 reps. That's 535 total electors. This is also, don't forget the 23rd Amendment, which says that D.C. gets 3 electors. So that's 538 total electors. The U.S. territories don't get any electors at all. So you got 538 total electors. These are the only 538 people, the only individuals in America who matter. They will refine the opinion of the American people. Don't vote for the president. They just influence it. They just suggest. So the election, the popular general election that all the American people participate in it, that's just a suggestion. That's not law. Only the Electoral College makes it legal. And then on top of it, 48 states, the winner of the plurality gets all the electors. Winner take all in 48 states. Only Maine and Nebraska have a sort of divide 2. They have 2 at-large electors and then 1 elector allocated based on the plurality of votes in each congressional district. So, just like 2 senators at large and then each congressional district. They get one elector from each one of them. That makes sense. That's intelligent. That gives Maine and Nebraska much more power than all the other 48 states who just throw all the votes to the winner, even if they only won 40%, but they beat everybody else. Well, hell, that's like a majority. Here's all of them. That's like a unanimous decision. Here's all of our electors. Even if it was only, by 1%, they get all of them. Winner take all, even in pluralities, for 48 states in America. So the Electoral College meets the first Monday after the second Wednesday in December to vote. The results are tabulated by Congress, tabulated nationally, the first week of January before a joint session of the Senate and House of Reps, which is presided over by the Vice President, acting as the President of the Senate. If a majority of voters aren't cast for a candidate, then the House turns itself into a presidential election session where one vote is assigned to each of the 50 states, excluding D.C. So the delegation is going to vote for one person. All 50 states has one vote, and you need a majority. You need a majority in the Electoral College, and then you need a majority in the House. So if there is a tie in the Electoral College, or if a majority of the voters did not cast their vote for a candidate, then it goes to the House. 2016, you also had 1800. You had a lot of problems with a lot of these elections. You had 1876, 1888, and then more recently 2000 and 2016. Here in America, the people's popular will don't matter. We're shit. So Donald Trump lost the popular election. George W. Bush lost the popular election. They didn't get, the majority of the American people wanted the other guy. But because we have an electoral college that screwed the other guy out of the presidency. Andrew Jackson was screwed out of the presidency. Reconstruction is going to end in 1876 and then 1888. So you have a lot of problems with this electoral college. It's inherently anti-democracy, anti-democratic. It's an elitist, complicated bullshit organ. And if it did overturn the will of the people, because traditionally that it hasn't, it's gone along with the will of the people, but if it breaks with tradition and it's utilized as the founders intended, then of course it would overturn an election. Of course the electors are free agents. Of course they are. So you got the 12th Amendment. This is going to be instituted after the 1800 Thomas Jefferson versus Aaron Burr election. Aaron Burr was this close from being our president. So the 12th Amendment says that the electors must vote distinct votes for the one vice president and the president instead of just two votes for the president. So that's different. First used in the 1804 election, the 12th Amendment, and ever since. So the electors can't vote for both vice president and the president if both are from that elector's home state. At least one of them must be from an outside state. So an elector can't even vote for a vice president and president if both of them are in his own state. Weird exception, weird rule. If nobody gets the majority, if nobody wins the Electoral College, then the presidential election moves to the House of Representatives. They choose a president, and the House must choose from the 3 highest electoral vote getters compared to 5 from the original Constitution before the 12th Amendment. So they got to take the 3 highest electoral vote getters. Even if one person got 1 electoral vote, they are in the pool. There's 3 people, the House of Representatives, of 435, they're going to pick to be the President of America. This is the Constitution. This is verbatim. So if you don't know any of this, then you don't even know the rules of your own country. The Senate has 1 vote per senator to break a tie for the vice president selection. So if the Electoral College ties for the presidency, vice presidency, or there's no majority victor, then the Senate is the one that determines that tiebreaker. Just like the House and their pick for the president, the Senate pick of a vice president must be a majority. This forces them to choose between the 2 highest electoral vote getters, and 2/3 of the Senate must be present for there to be a quorum. So most of the Senate has to be there if the Electoral College does not select the vice president by majority. And if a president isn't chosen by March 4th, then the individual who was elected vice president would act as the president until Congress got their shit together. So the heart and the spirit of the law comes from Alexander Hamilton. He's kind of a mixed, he's got that big play on Broadway. He's killed by Aaron Burr. Aaron Burr is more of a problem. He's turned out to be a traitor against America in favor of the Spanish crown. Aaron Burr in 1800 just about nearly became the president of the United States, but he was a spy for the Spanish crown. He almost became president, and then he's the one that shoots and murders Alexander Hamilton, who did so much to establish so much shit in America. It's remarkable because a lot of his policies I don't care for, but this duel gives Hamilton all the sympathy in the world. I think he was born in the Caribbean, worked alongside the slaves. He was against slavery or never owned a slave or something. I don't know. But Hamilton also encouraged Louvetti out of Haiti to be an elected dictator for life. He also wanted to put America into debt to unite the nation. Well, that's a great reason to put America into debt. Let's unite the nation. Then he's also simultaneously going to refuse to pay the French back. So King Louis XVI paid, for the U.S. Revolution and not the French revolutionaries. So he said, fuck you, France. We don't owe it to you. We owe it to the king that you just overthrew. So we fucked France over immediately, and we started kissing England's ass. They're going to invade us, 1812, burn down our White House. We should have supported France when France supported us. So Alexander Hamilton has a very mixed record, right? So he says that the Electoral College is great because it's transient, it's temporary, it's not tied to the actual people. You can't corrupt it. He loves the mechanism in case the fucking rabble, the damn people, fuck it up. You got this Electoral College to make sure that you have a qualified president in office. Anti-Federalist Paper number 72. So let's listen to what do the other founders have to say. So Anti-Federalist Paper number 72, you have an anonymous Democratic Republican Party member who argues that the Electoral College removes the people out of the equation to selecting their own leader. Instead, you have delegates that is handed to the tiny minority. So instead of having 350 million Americans decide the presidency, we're going to allow 538 people to decide the presidency. Now you have this other founder called Republicus. Republicus, we don't know who he actually is, but he wrote 1788, 1 year before the U.S. Constitution is going to be ratified, 1789. So March 1st, 1788, the Kentucky Gazette, they ran the article written by Republicus. So it could be a Kentucky, probably a Kentucky citizen, right? So this Kentucky man, he's sitting there talking about how the Electoral College is a body of electors, and that's selected by another body of electors, the state legislatures, and then somehow, if you have a tiebreaker vote, then another body of electors are going to decide it that has nothing to do with the Electoral College whatsoever. So he created this big honking Electoral College, and it tied. So what was the fucking point? Or if one of the candidates doesn't get a simple majority, you got to win a majority. So you could deprive. A smart tactic for an opposition party would be to deprive the person who won out of the majority. So that's, political tactics, but that has nothing to do with the Constitution. So if one body of electors can't figure it out, the body of electors that was decided by a body of electors, state body of electors, then another body of electors, the House of Reps, who was decided by the people at a different time, then the electors of the electors to the fifth power, then they're the ones that got to figure it out. We are so far removed from the choice for president, you cannot say with an honest, with an honest demeanor, with an honest face, that you actually have power when it comes to your vote in the Electoral College. Because you don't. The people have no power. There is no democracy in America. This is not of, by, and for the people. This here is America. The people don't pick the president in America. Get out of here. So he quotes, this is actually really smart stuff for Publicus. He's sitting there saying that you have, the presidency, you have such a strong leader. It's basically a dictator. He's got the supreme commander, right? He's the commander-in-chief of the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, militia. He's got the continental executive power, the supreme continental executive power. He can grant pardons. He can veto all the legislation, appoint all the officers, make whatever treaties he wants to make. And he can only be removed by impeachment. The state governments choose the electors to vote for the president. So the president is such a powerful position, you think that the American people would want to weigh in on this decision, but instead it's all up to the Electoral College. What you voted in Colorado, what you voted in Kentucky, what you voted in Virginia, fuck your vote. You're not an elector, and that vote didn't go to the presidency. It didn't go for your candidate to become president. Only the electors in the Electoral College do that. Your vote was a suggestion for those electors because they are free agents. So Kavanaugh and Alito, they seem to be acting like they're not going to make the right decision. They're acting like they're not going to listen to the U.S. Constitution. So most citizens don't know that they're Electoral College, they're electors at all. I mean, if you did, do you think that most of America would just give their power away to complete random strangers? Okay, Colorado, you voted. Now, let's just go. So I'm against the Electoral College, but that's the text. That's the rules of America. So I don't think that if people knew that, you voted, but your vote didn't matter, now it's up to the electors to hopefully vote the same way you did, the American people wouldn't be for that, but we have. It's been the tradition. So the community at large, the American people, don't choose our own president. A democracy. Our democracy was dead and gone the moment the Electoral College was locked in 1789. The power of a democracy lies in the roots of the people. The Electoral College very much says, fuck your democracy, and we're just going to have these stupid-ass, this shit, this Byzantine, complicated, bloated, sort of spruce goose, this behemoth spruce goose that, doesn't really help. It's complicated. It doesn't make sense. It's not good for democracy. There's no good to it whatsoever. It's to refine the people's vote in case you fuck up. So I would love to see that happen. Let's have an America where instead of we get the president that wasn't popularly elected, and let's get the president that the Electoral College overturns the will of the people and they decide somebody that wasn't even in the running. Let's see the Electoral College actually grab the power that they got. This here is America. We don't have a government based on the consent of the governed. We don't have a system of by and for the people here. This here is America. The people are too stupid to be relied on for voting for president. You got to have Electoral College. You can't have a true blue democracy. Trust these damn people, all the power to the people? Oh, hell no. This here is America, and here in America, all the power goes to the electors in the Electoral College unless they tie or they don't pick somebody in the majority. Then it goes to the House of Representatives for the pick of the presidency. 350 million Americans don't have the power. 538 have the power, and only 538. So you don't like it? Well, shit. Load or leave it, right? You don't like that we got the Electoral College? You don't like that your vote don't count for shit? Well, then get the fuck out of this country, or start an amendment process. Change the laws, change the Constitution. But this judicial activism where they ignore the Constitution, Brett Kavanaugh and Samuel Alito need to reread their Constitution because they clearly don't know what the fuck they're talking about. 531, John Master, Southern Colorado, Saturday, May 16th, 2020. Peace.